Alright, I'm gonna be going over some of the most insane blue lock hot takes I have ever seen. From returning characters, questionable takes on other characters, or just flat out predictions. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, which is why from over 100 hot takes, I decided to compile the most insane ones to cover. We'll rate them from ice cold, everyone agrees with you, to you burnt down the kitchen, this take will never happen and it's pure rage bait. Some of these takes are very interesting and you may even agree with it too, so let's dive into it quick. The first take is the most popular hot take. In fact, 3 people had the same exact take, and this is Kira Ryusuke will be the 3rd player in the Barou 3. Now for the defense for this take, they believe Kira is a character who wants to take down Ego, was the jewel of Japan before Blue Lock, so Barou would have scouted him. It makes the most sense to bring him back and have him as a player who sabotages Blue Lock's way of thinking. Whenever a character is mentioned to come back, Kira is always the first thought for people. He's somehow very popular even though he left in the first episode. I know y'all are smiling thinking about Kira coming back, like I can see all of y'all's faces when you type Kira is the best player. In my opinion, I agree with him fitting the Barou 3 requirement the most, but I just can't help but think they won't bring him back. He was a testament to playing for the team and not having an ego, so that will get you kicked out of Blue Lock. I really think his character was just symbolizing that. It would be a new type of player though, which is very interesting. You're having someone to go against the ego philosophy. We haven't seen his actual skills, even though he was called the Jewel of Japan. I just think it's kind of late to bring him back. If he was trying to sabotage Blue Lock like you said, we're literally going into the U20 World Cup. This is time to be serious. What I'm trying to say is that Kira has no place here. I would take Iyemon, the 3rd goalkeeper, over Kira Ryusuke. Maybe that's my hot take, but seriously, he really isn't needed, even though the thought of him coming back would be kind of cool. I'm gonna give this a hot rating. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's a pretty common take. At least you're not burning down the kitchen where nobody agrees with you. The next hot take relates to our main boy Isagi Yoichi, and this says Isagi will become a villain on his way to the top. The explanation for this take says Isagi will become a full egoist and only care about himself, winning even if it means destroying his teammates. We saw during the PXG game, he sold his soul for victory, so if he's willing to give up his own soul, he'll take the soul of others. We really talking about Isagi like he the Grim Reaper or something, but as crazy as it sounds, I kind of agree with this take. I know Kaneshiro himself has said, will you still love Isagi in the end? Which can't mean anything good, right? So your take has a lot of substance to it. And we've seen Isagi go off the edge a bit when it comes to trash talking people. We've even seen him do it to previous teammates. I don't know what villain could imply really, maybe pushing people too far or too hard, or he gets too cocky at a point where he isolates himself from everyone else. As insane as Isagi becoming a villain sounds, I think this is a good take. I can see this happening and I can agree with it. Y'all cooked. The 3rd hot take is relating to the rankings and specifically Nagi. This one says Kiora/Fukaku Gen never should have made it over Nagi. The defense is that Nagi had 1 goal and Kiora only had 1 assist, with a goal being better than an assist. They also said Nagi's potential is one of the highest in the series, and he could have been the best if not for him being held back by his ego. Kiora and Fukaku would never reach his levels of potential, so it's dumb to make them pass and not Nagi. Now, straight away, I think this is a cold take. Everyone can kind of agree with this, because Fukaku is the worst player any Blue Lock reader has laid their eyes upon, but them making it is also kind of justified. You gotta remember the salary system isn't representative of one's skill, so even though Fukaku is a literal trash can, he still gets a high salary just for being a goalkeeper, and that's the justification. Yes, Nagi sitting in the net would be more useful than Fukaku Gen, so I get what you mean on how Nagi is more useful than those two. If there was no plot armor, Nagi 100% makes it through, but Manshine, the club that offered him, most likely didn't value him that high. So even though we know he has more potential than them, due to both plot and his club not valuing him, he got eliminated. You also kind of answered your own question with his ego holding him back, which is why he didn't perform at his best and got eliminated. I do get your point though, Nagi is definitely better than these two. Even in his downfall, I still think he's better. However, salaries aren't representative of skill, so that's the only reason why. I'm gonna give this a cold take since everyone can agree. Number 4 is everyone's favorite debate, who is is the best new Gen 11. And since we got Bunny, it's even harder now. But I can't really believe this because this take says Bunny is the best new Gen 11. There wasn't even a defense for this. We're really just glazing Bunny off a half a chapter we got of him. This debate has been one of the hardest simply because they all play different positions, and depending on what you favor more, narrative or feats, you can scale other characters over others. If we're going off a purely narrative, Itoshi Rin is trying to surpass Itoshi Sai, and during the PXG game, Kaiser struggled a bit going against Rin. So narratively speaking, Itoshi Sai is above Kaiser because Sai over Rin over Kaiser. If you're going off of feats though, it's completely the opposite. Sai, even though he wasn't trying, played against a U20 level of BLUELOCK. Kaiser and Lorenzo both played against NEL versions of them, so their feats are a lot more impressive. Off of feats alone, Lorenzo locked up Kaiser, but Kaiser still managed to score, and he has a goal in every game with Bastard going 4-0. So if you're going off of feats and not narrative, Kaiser is arguably the best and Itoshi Sai is the worst, so it's completely the opposite. From what we've seen of Bunny, which is not much by the way, he easily scored and he's playing for the main FC Barca team alongside Lavinho. Sai is playing for the youth team in Real while hate watching him, which could be interpreted as jealousy. The only way you can rate Bunny as the highest is through narrative, and a very specific narrative. One that has Sai being jealous of Bunny, one that believes Rin is still better than Kaiser, and a Bunny being the one to crush Itoshi Sai's dream. So literally all of those things have to happen in order for Bunny to be the best right now. I'm gonna leave that up to y'all to decide whether you want to prioritize a narrative or feats. I personally think it's too early to call. I'm not saying that Bunny can't be the best new Gen 11. In fact, he might end up being the best. But for now, I think it's too hard to judge. So let me know in the comments what you think the new Gen 11 ranking is. Let's move on to a hot take involving who will be the best. And this says that Kunigami won't be top 10 by the end of the series. The defense for this says because newer and better characters will be introduced and developed, and his current narrative importance, Kunigami being top 10 end of series will most likely not happen. Now, I kind of like Kunigami. I think he has a lot of untapped potential that we haven't seen. Like, why haven't we seen the wild card is still top 10 things scientists can't explain. But I wholeheartedly agree with this take. End of series means every single player, and in that case, that would mean he needs to beat out all the other new Gen 11s, Master Strikers, and world-class players. If you're saying top 10 BLUELOCK end of series, then maybe it's a different debate, but even then, I think Kunigami would be like 10th place. Unless they give him some major development, I see him as still being the worst of the Egoist 4 in the future. God forbid that happens, because that means Kunigami would legit be the same exact character from the first election. Here's hoping he will be up there, but for now, this is a cold take. I think everyone can agree. Now we're getting into World Cup predictions, and this one says Japan will win against France in the group stage. The defense for this argument says that it's pretty much confirmed Japan and France are the top two teams to advance, and everyone already thinks Japan is going to lose. I just don't see any way BLUELOCK can lose since they have a full team of stacked players, and France only has Loki and Charles. There is no new Gen 11 for France since Loki is the new Gen 11 for them, so it's a 2 versus 11 and it's not realistic if France end up winning. Okay, so there is a lot in this take. Firstly, BLUELOCK can very much lose to just Loki and Charles. Loki is literally plot in of itself. Bro teleports across the field. During the PXG game, he wasn't trying to score, but he was pretty much soloing the 3 minutes he was subbed in. Now imagine if he actually wants to score and he has Charles to make that even easier for him. It's realistic that he'll make a lot of goals. Bastard consisted of a new Gen 11 in Kaiser, Isagi, Hiyori, and Raichi. Pretty much those 4 players and a Bastard fodder all confirmed got speed blitzed by Loki, and those are pretty good players. The point is, I think you're severely underrating Loki. The fact that you think he's the only threat as well makes it all the more reason to make him stronger, so that he can compete realistically against a full team of BLUELOCK. And lastly, Loki isn't confirmed to be a new Gen 11. Yeah, he fits the qualifications for it, but France was shown as a country that has one. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but there was no confirmation, so we might be getting a new character that's a new Gen 11 for France. I forgot to mention as well that France has been stated to be the current #1, so it would be a massive upset for Japan if they do end up beating them with a potential new Gen 11 Loki and Charles. So this take, I gotta give a burnt kitchen score. This is a very, very hot take. Everyone I know and their friends are saying Japan is gonna get swept by France. If you do end up right though, you might just want to buy a lottery ticket. We're still on World Cup predictions, and this is relating to who we think Japan's MVP is gonna be. Quesadilla thinks Hiryo will be Japan's MVP. Now this defense is low-key a glazing session, but it has some validity to it. Hiryo is going to go crazy with his 23 copies plus copies of the enemy team. He can replace anyone and will be able to assist, defend, and score. An MVP-worthy performance. I gotta say, I think Hiryo will be very, very strong in the U20 World Cup. Like you said, all those copies will make him super powerful, and the fact he's gonna get a lot of solo development, it will make him even stronger. I can't 100% think that Hiryo is gonna be Japan's MVP. There is a lot of other characters, but maybe a top 5 or even a top 3 overall performance in BLUELOCK. Hiryo could be a permanent starter just because he can flex around so much, and that speaks volumes. I'm very excited to see where Hiryo goes. I'm gonna say this is a mild take. People can agree and disagree with this. It could very much happen. But when you got Isagi, Rin, Sai, and everyone else that contends for MVP, it's gonna be very hard. We're almost there with just 2 takes left, and this one is saying Shido will still be better than Barou after the U20 World Cup. Basically, the defense is talking about Shido's motivation to play on a big stage and leave his mark on the world. Alongside with Itoshi Sai being there, he will perform better than Barou, who requires a full team under him to make goals. This might be up there for one of the hardest debates and one of the messiest debates. I've seen Barou fans and Shido fans go to war for their characters, because if you're biased to slightly one side, you're gonna say one is better than the other. I enjoy Barou's character more, and I think he performed better in the NEL, so I'm leaning towards Barou being better. However, I can't deny that Shido's scoring ability is really good and his goals are hype, so that's just a little plus. Addressing the whole take that Barou needs a whole team to score, we've seen him score without a team before, and same with Shido, we've seen him score without Itoshi Sai, so both of them can basically score on their own. I don't think the Barou needs a whole team debate is that strong. To each their own, I guess. However, I'm gonna give this a hot take because many people will disagree with you, but there will be a lot of people who agree with you too, so I think it's a very hot take. This take I just had to include when I saw it. I gotta wonder if a lot of y'all agree with this too, and that's Isagi and Rin clear Kaiser by the end of the NEL. Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I feel like people will actually believe this, or they'll think this is rage bait, no in between. The defense for this is that Isagi is constantly evolving Metavision, and Rin has Destroyer mode, both having a faster growth rate than what Kaiser lacks. Kaiser relies on him being a genius and the Kaiser impact, whereas Isagi and Rin will be able to adapt better. Alright, I think reading comprehension is just out of the window. I'm not even saying that to just say that. Rin is my favorite character and Isagi is up there as well. But to say that Kaiser relies on him being a genius when his best character development and most recent character development was the fact that he was a talented learner and he had to start from zero is kind of crazy. This take can have a miles better defense. Like, you can say Kaiser struggled a bit against Destroyer mode Rin. Isagi scored the last goal over Kaiser, but in terms of adaptability, Kaiser is completely fine because he was willing to start from zero. Even then, I think that Isagi and Rin are very close. They're definitely new Gen 11 level, but Kaiser is still above them if we're just looking at NEL only. So I gotta say, this is a hot take. I've actually seen some people agree with this, especially during Kaiser's downfall, so it's not too ridiculous that it just seems like rage bait, hence why I asked y'all if you do believe it or not. Alright, those were some of the most insane BLUELOCK hot takes I've seen, especially out of 100 submissions. This is all about discussion, so I want to know what y'all think. If you agreed or disagreed with any of the hot takes or even my opinions on it, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you to everyone who submitted hot takes, and if I didn't cover yours, I'll be covering the rest on stream, so don't worry, there's still a chance for yours to be covered. If you made it to the end though, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything BLUELOCK. YouTube really thinks you'd like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one.